cards are dealt the other way now, and for the last time, no more shuffling.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Fantasy Fuel Shuffling the Deck. I am Tom Tuttle, and today we're going to be shuffling around the league again, going to the Carolina Panthers and shuffling the deck and see what play we're going to get out of them. They're an interesting team. They have some star power, but they also have some question marks. So let's find out who that player is going to be and see what happens. No, this is not the greatest of vibes. This isn't Christian McCaffrey like I would be hoping it would have been, because everybody knows I'm super Christian McCaffrey, a big, huge fan of him. And no, this is Greg Olsen. He's the tight end for the Carolina Panthers for like half the year. I mean, the first half of the year, second half of the year, or here and there throughout the entire year. It's not usually the entire year. So last year, I think he played 9 games, and the year before that, he ended up playing 7 games. He's been up and down as far as injuries have gone. It's not been real consistent with him, and that's a big problem in my eyes. It's not going to be a good thing for you to be looking into getting Greg Olsen this year as your tight end. If you are, you're probably making a mistake. So this could be a short episode just because you don't really need to know a whole lot. You just need to know that Greg Olsen's probably not going to be on your radar, or at least he shouldn't be on your radar. But there are some things you can look at with him that there's a possibility there, but we'll get into it. I have him in one league, in the flag league, actually. It's a really big league, so it's understandable. But he's still... and I have him at a pretty high price as well. But he's still just a backup right now. He's not really that starting tight end that everybody used to know and love in Greg Olsen. He's not there. The last 2 years, he's barely played. Like I said, it's just not been great. He had a couple good weeks here, a couple good weeks there, and that's about it. There's just nothing much to say about it anymore. He's getting older. He's getting these nagging injuries. As sooner or later, the Panthers are going to have to try and move on from him. And they haven't really addressed that tight end position that much. So Greg Olsen's still, for now, the guy. There's just not a ton of positive things to say. But there is one thing that I can say about Greg Olsen, and it's in a positive light. Besides Christian McCaffrey, who else is Cam Newton going to trust in? That's the question that needs to be answered, and I think I can kind of make some light on that, hopefully. But there's some question marks. DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Chris Hogan, Jarius Wright. I mean, I could keep going. These guys are all question marks. They all have a certain level of, is he going to produce this year? Is he going to not produce this year? There's question marks on all of them. DJ Moore has a lot of potential. Curtis Samuel, I've liked from the start 3 years ago when he was drafted. Chris Hogan got a lot of potential. These are guys that have a chance. And Chris Hogan's, this is his second chance on a new team. Let's see what happens. There's just question marks there. So that being said, the question marks can go into the advantage of Greg Olsen, because Greg Olsen now is that guy that's been with Cam Newton for quite a while now. And there's a possibility that him and Cam can get back to connecting. I don't see it so much this year. I think that Cam Newton's going to concentrate on trying to connect with Moore and Samuel and Hogan and get that rapport with them. But if he can't, there's a chance that Greg Olsen could be fairly big week to week. But there's things that have to happen for Greg Olsen to be a success in fantasy football this year. Number one, he has to stay healthy. I mean, that's pretty obvious. He can't be up and down every week. He's got to stay on the field for the majority of the season. Number two, he's got to be, besides Christian McCaffrey, he's got to be the guy that Cam Newton can trust. Them two things, If they both don't happen, it's not going to happen. And so that's why it's hard to believe that Greg Olsen's going to be the guy. Right now, he's going 13th round in most drafts, so or even later. So it's just not something. He's not a guy you're trying to go out and get right now. So we put that in your mind. If you're thinking Greg Olsen could have a huge year, okay, there's a slight possibility there, but I don't see it. There's a lot of other tight ends you can be going after and getting the value there. If you want to take a chance with him as your second tight end, you can. It's up to you. I like I said, I have him in one league. He is my second tight end, and I hope all the best for him. I hope that he becomes my number one tight end. There is that slight possibility of that, but I wouldn't count on the Greg Olsen of old because you're probably not going to get that guy. But it would be great if you did. Right now, he's the 16th tight end taken overall off the board. I think it's actually a little less than that. He could be more towards the 20th guy being taken off the board. There's a lot of other guys that I saw on that list that I'd be like, oh no, I'd take that guy over Greg Olsen. I think Trey Burton was even below Greg Olsen on this one that I looked up, and I was like, nah, that's not right. I think Trey Burton's definitely ahead of Greg Olsen, and most people are probably thinking that as well. So with that being said, if you are listening to us on YouTube, watching us on YouTube, please click that subscribe button and go ahead and click that notification bell as well. That's going to help you out, help you find the episodes quick and fast. That way you just get notified. You don't have to go searching for us. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please give us a review. That does help us out. Get a little bit more notice for other people that need that are looking for a podcast to listen to. Remember to find us on Facebook and find us on fantasyfuelpodcast.com. And you can find us on Facebook at Fantasy Fuel Stardom and Situm as well. And don't forget about Pole Sports. That is amazing. I mean, so far everything on there has been great. I just went through it today, answered a bunch of polls, answered a bunch of questions. It was awesome. Remember to check out polesports.com. It is a great way to find out who you can start, who you can sit, and all that. All them questions, you know all that stuff. If you have any of them questions, please go to polesports.com. That's a great place to go. So with all that being said, just remember to stay fueled up this fantasy season.